right. Welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, Day 75. There's not a lot of updates on this. Next hearing still October 6th, so that's a while away. Today I successfully published a video just a couple hours ago. Didn't do any work on world domination plans today, but yeah, just focused on getting the video out, and I feel like I'm finally starting to get caught up a bit on stuff. And so today we will continue with working on the terminal block mining game. Sam sends a wave, or Complex 64 sends a wave using an emoji. Harith Rayan says, hello there. How's it going? Have you heard about pirate software and stop killing games drama yet? Yes, I have seen a few videos on that. Honestly, there's a whole bunch of minutia to go over about the drama, but it's one of those things that I'm just like, I don't really care to know the details of this, but I do know, like, from my experience in, doing blogging and video production and doing media related stuff, it absolutely makes sense. Like, if you want to broadcast a message as much as possible, you just farm drama and have some, like, have some person say an outrageous thing, and then people get mad about it and then react to it and stuff. And it's I don't know, maybe it's a completely organic drama, but if it was like a planned, maybe it was like partially organic, and then some people were just like, hey, let's just like, it's kind of an organic thing to just farm more drama, pushing back on that guy. But the result is that, like, I don't really even play games, and I've seen like 5 videos about it. So I think in that respect, they have absolutely succeeded in getting a lot of attention on the initiative. As a result of the drama. Woodfloor Alchemist says, what's up? How's it going? What's up, everyone? What are we doing tonight, Brian? Tonight, I am going to try and merge the mask class into the screen layer class. There's a few things I have to merge together, and I think that'll make sense. Hello from Nepal. Interesting, that's far away. I had a few students from Nepal. How do I optimize SEO for my business? In this day and age, I almost think like SEO, optimizing for SEO is almost like a legacy thing with large language models and stuff. I would say dig into the focus on, like, building a good site for humans. Think about how humans would navigate to it, because everything that the technology does is like tries to think about, like, how real humans like, there's all kinds of tricks and stuff, like there's SEO tricks and stuff, and when Google and search engines and algorithms and stuff, they're constantly in pursuit of, because everyone's trying to, like, spam stuff and do, like, illegitimate SEO. There's a lot of push for that. So a lot of the technology around it goes around, like, finding out the fraud. So if you can think about what is the, if you just like spam a bunch of keywords to the detriment of your content, that might, like, historically that might have looked good to an algorithm, but it would look bad to humans. And so the next generation of the algorithms are specifically looking for stuff like that so they can downrank it. So if there's a difference, if there's some deviation from what a bot would estimate is going to be the click-through or retention or whatever, if there's a difference between that and what an actual human does, it knows that's bad content. So I'd say just focus specifically on what humans are looking for, especially in this day and age where the algorithms and SEO stuff is all very sophisticated. Hope you've been having a Wayman night. Yeah, yes, indeed I have. I think it's hilarious that even though his GitHub is empty and he rarely streams any code, people are still finding it and tearing him a new one. Yeah, I saw one. Someone did a code. They reviewed some of his code, but there wasn't really a lot of. It was like 2 pages of code or something, and I don't know. Technically, you can take any piece of code and criticize it if you want. A lot of them are just like opinions. But either way, though, the whole thing is, it's getting a lot of attention on an important issue. Taking over the world. Jamarco. Robert Locks. So it's Hank Raymond, Staven, and Max the Leader. Those are the few names I keep seeing that are all in this like Wayment meme group. Last time it was Robert Block, but now it's Robert Locks. I don't even know how that would relate to anything. Wayment Robert Blockhead. Erase C. What does that even mean? Maybe this is like a Roblox thing or something. That's what's up. Apes are actually smarter than humans. I don't doubt this. I was just watching a live stream from another contractor in my industry, and he was talking about implementing AI to answer phone calls. That seems insane to me, especially as a local contractor. Interesting. Yeah, we're about to go through the explosion of AI. I'm sure there's going to be like SaaS companies that'll be able to offer this as a service to small businesses soon. And it'll get crazy too, because now they're going to start, the next value add is going to be like to capture some of that data. So I'm sure like companies will offer like AI powered customer service support for your small business, but they're going to use that in the long term to like basically to capture all the leads. So it'll be impossible for small businesses in the future. They can just like, if they can get between small business and their customers, then they can eventually, in the long term, they'll capture all that traffic somehow. They'll figure out how to better serve people. Can I get a house in Axel-Heiberg after world domination? Yeah, I guess so. Well, we'll have to figure out gotta figure out some kind of system so people can. We need some people to build the houses. It's gonna be a lot of work. I guess it could make sense to give a bunch of people jobs up there. You get paid in houses. So I guess you could I think that's an interesting question. Is how many man hours does it take to build a house? It's like I don't know, 20. I'll have to look that up. That's an interesting stat. So the currency will be houses. That would be a good currency. You can get paid like 1/20,000th of a house per hour or something, whatever the construction rate is. OBK says, "I'm a furry." That's I don't have any response to that. Wayment is. That's an incomplete sentence. Interesting. That's is that just an icon, or is that a link to a video? Max the leader will be exiled from Exilhyberg due to his hatred of apes. A lot of those three people seem to come here together, and I don't know. It's very strange. These chats don't make sense. These are memes that I don't know about, or it's just like total nonsense or something. OBK sends 99 cents to the World Domination Fund. Thank you very much. How many guys do we have? The more guys you have working together and work well together, the lower man hours get. As every man hour becomes more efficient. Yeah, I was thinking about that. If you there's so many like unemployed people that can't find houses and stuff. Like, what if we just got like a bunch of people who like get a bunch of desperate people together and just get them to build houses? Like, we built houses 200 years ago. Why can't we just physically go out and like tear down a tree and then build a house? Of course, you'd have to get people that work well together. There'd be a lot of social problems to deal with. It'd be like people that, just want to sit around and they'd like pretend to get injured the first day and then just do nothing. Totally agree with you on that. I forget which point I was talking about when that chat came out. 19.99 billion go. Yep, we're almost there. Actually, we're even closer now. Max the leader sends 2 New Zealand dollars. I'm in love with you. Can we live on Exilhyberg? I don't know. That's a pretty strong. It's an inappropriately strong emotion to have for a random person on the internet. I'll withdraw my support both financially and intentionally. If you are cruel, I'll try not to be cruel. Thank you very much for the $4.99. I want a big house. You gotta work a lot to build a big house. Yeah, someone Googled that. How many hours does it take to build a house? How many man hours does it take one person to build a house? You also need materials and stuff, but I guess depending on where you are, like if you're in the middle of nowhere, then land is cheap. How do you deal with crime? You just have unlimited immigration for high quality police officers. On the circuit sends $2 with a message of meow. That's what a good quality cat says. Takes 3 clones of me to fix a light bulb. That's quite a bit. 100 max hours is 1 Wayment. $100 max out, I guess referring to Max the leader. 1 Wayment. Are you guys like TikTok Zoomers? That might maybe explain. Do you guys have brain rot? So your video of world domination plan. ... All right, let's try to do some coding. Let's see. Can I get citizenship there? Sure, I guess. Issue with plan is there must be a deficit that needs to be overcome due to monthly expenses of living. Well, once there's a deep water port there, then we can just build that up and make a lot of money. Then we won't have a deficit. If don't know, mind me asking, WDF is Wayment. I don't know. There's 3 chatters, STEYVEN, and a couple Max the leader and a couple other ones that keep saying that word. And at first I thought it was a meme, and then I Googled it, and I could only find references on TikTok, and they didn't really seem to make any. They didn't seem to. They use it interchangeably with the word payment, but I don't know. I mean, I've also questioned if those 3 users are maybe bots or something, because they seem to come into at the same time. Or maybe they are real humans. I mean, one of them sent me a super chat, so. But the internet is crazy these days. I have in the past had like collections of bots come in and chat with me for a while. More money can be saved. It's fair. Just issue a crap ton of bonds. Yeah, if you can show you're productive, then you can go into debt. People just assume you'll pay it back. Can I lead the waste management program? Sure, I guess. A Clydesdale can comfortably pull 8K pounds. Working in teams comfortably pull 32K pounds. Interesting. Portable nuclear solutions? Maybe. If we can buy one at Walmart. I'm just a massive supporter of your plans for world domination. Excellent. Small reactors. Yeah, there's lots of reference material on YouTube. They seem like bots. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell these days. There's lots of random people that come in, and then some people will be like, that person is a bot, but I don't know. There's also like insane people who come into chat sometimes and say strange things, and there's also kids. Do you think Canada should get high-speed rail? I think that there was actually a proposal to put one in. That was one of Justin Trudeau's final things. Is he proposed putting in a high-speed rail, and I guess from what I understand, it was just like his final like goodbye gift to some people, like whatever consulting firm, because I guess the presumption is they're going to like study it for a few years or something and then come back, or maybe they already have, and they'll be like, nope, it's not feasible. It will cost $1 trillion, but that they get money for the consulting. Yeah, I didn't look into the details, but you could probably Google that. Google like Trudeau high-speed rail, and there's probably some news articles on it. Not sure what the latest is. Million horses. Yeah, I guess if we have an equestrian facility, having horsepower, that's an option. We aren't bots, Robert. We're just fans. World domination is imminent. Excellent. May not be human, but I know I'm not a bot. I'm also not a bot. Excellent. The thing is, bots can also say that they're not bots. How long you been writing Java? And if you ever had an interest in Clojure, since it's built in Lisp, Java. I haven't really ever. No, I haven't ever taken a look at it. I mean, there's a long list of development stuff. I still have to play with AI tools. That's on my to-do list. I just have not had time to get. I've been trying to work through my priority list of to-do lists, getting the videos out last few videos out that I put out, getting taxes done and all that. But I probably won't try Clojure. My next thing is going to be testing out like Claude AI and AI coding and stuff, so I don't get behind the curve on that. My point being, efficiency is exponential if we dial in and have big teams with focused mission. Whatever Google says, the man hours required, we can beat it. Yeah, I mean it's all theoretical. I think it'd be you'd have to like know the people you're working with and stuff like that. I think if you had a group of randoms, I think you could pretty quickly get like conflicts and stuff. I mean, I think it'd be if you just imagine like any random workplace. If you walk into a random workplace, there's going to be some people there that don't quite like each other and don't get along. On the circuit, you're doubting that everyone is real? I don't know. I'll just assume people are real unless people start spamming or posting too much total nonsense. Very cool. I've just finished my own LLM workflow. Feels really nice. Yeah, I've yet to. I've used it in like ChatGPT and stuff. But it wasn't like integrated with the code base, and I always remember thinking like this is going to be amazing if this can be integrated, if this can like know about what's wrong here, if it can actually have the context of the code base. And of course we actually have that now. What are you making? I've seen you working on for a while, but is it a game? So actually I just published a video, a long form video. It's a 5-minute long video, like about an hour ago on my channel. If you check that video, that video will give you the pretty up to date view of what I'm working of the game and the features that I'm working on. Kanzada Vlogs says, hi again. How's it going? How would you differentiate between a human and a bot? Today, in this day and age, I would say it is absolutely not possible based on the content of someone's message. Large language models have like exceeded, like a sufficiently advanced one is going to be able to like understand my voice in real time and transcribe it and respond to it, and you know, adapt its style and adopt personalities. And AI's gotten pretty crazy these days. Okay. You would have to ask about an experience that isn't talked about very much at all, yet we all experience. Oh, to tell if someone's a bot or not? Yeah, I guess that would be one, that would be a heuristic that you might want to try. Because if it's not talked about much, it's not going to be it's not going to be tokenized. But even so, I mean, you could ask about a really current event. But then again, I guess I think the latest, I don't even know. I think like ChatGPT and stuff can like search the internet in real time, if I remember correctly. So basically, one day we would not be able to tell a difference between you and a bot in real life. I would say with chat, in talking to chat, you can't see someone's face and stuff like that. But I guess theoretically, like, I mean, we still need to build the form factor and stuff. We don't have realistic robots and stuff. And I'm sure they like if you ask them to dance and stuff, they're not gonna look human. There's been no development on that technology. Chinese room experiment. I forget what that is. Exoskeleton and endoskeleton. Yeah, I guess those are challenges to turn into a bot. You've been moderated. So the moderation, so if you see up here in the corner, I have it on top chat, so I can change that to, so I can, in top chat, Google's filtering algorithm filters what people say, and I don't have any control over it. But if you go to live chat, it shows you everything. And I thought about like if I turn it on I do need some moderation, but I'm also interested to know like what people say. I like the idea of people knowing they're getting censored. So if you don't see your chats showing up in the view there, then that means it's like whatever you said that tripped the whatever thing they're trying to censor. I don't know. It's actually been weird because most people don't get censored for swearing, but they get censored for like really specific conceptual things. Like if someone mentions the Federal Reserve or something, or anything that, like if you, a very common thing is people will joke about a conspiracy theory, like chemtrails or something, and then it'll censor some discussion about that, or like when people talk about stuff that's going on in the news sometimes. Yeah, on the circuit, that's those kinds of statements are the kinds of things that tend to get censored. Although it looks like that statement got through. Is YouTube your main source of income at the moment? Yes, it is at the moment. Will Heiberg, or whatever it's called, have a railway infrastructure? Theoretically, but you can't get ahead of yourself. You gotta get the Deepwater Port going. All right, so what I want to do, if I can get there tonight, is move the mask into the screen layer. Actually, I think I had a little bit of cleanup from last night that I didn't finish. What'll be the waste management policy? I don't know. I guess you can. I should probably start with Googling what's the most advanced waste management facility we have today. I think the best is probably some kind of like centralized sorting and special and like separation into like different types, like the get out all the metallic material and stuff. You can recycle that and sell it and make money. And then other consolidating it down to like combustible material. Like I think there's growing up, we were kind of brainwashed to like separate it into compostable and like 5 different types of stuff. But I don't even think they do it. Like we go to all this work to separate it, but I don't think they actually do anything with that separation. They just mix it all together at the landfill. So I think the whole idea was like train people to sort it, and then one day we can have the recycling facilities, and then we just never invented those. And we investigated and realized like this doesn't make sense economically. I think it makes sense probably to just, for most combustible material, just to burn it, extract the heat, but also have like really good filtering systems and stuff that don't release pollutants. And then if you want to be carbon neutral, have some other, like it could even be like a totally different facility that just does a thing that is carbon capture, or like use the carbon as the input of some other industrial process. Like it could be used for the refrigerant in the heat pump. Could be a kind of fun project to create a wiki or something. Yeah, I guess it would be kind of interesting. Well, actually, there's a Discord that the official Discord for my channel is, if you go to like the links, go to my channel page, go to the links. There's a link to a Discord, and that is the official Robert Elder Software Discord, but it's actually locked, and it has a link to, there's some other people that started a Discord, and I don't necessarily endorse any of everyone's discussions there and stuff, and they actually started it a long time ago, so there is some discussion there, and there's like 2 or 3 people that regularly post stuff. But I guess if you're interested in like there's people posting like home renovation stuff and like stuff about home electronics and building stuff. So I guess if you're interested in the necessities of building a new society, there might be you might find something interesting there. But yeah, just wait, so, and I forgot the punchline. The link to the Discord invite on my channel page, it is broken intentionally. The last character is a Z. The Z on it should not be there, and I did that on purpose so that bots don't join. So just remove the Z, and that'll get you to my official Discord. No worries. Robert Coins win. I think I'm, for the record, I will never do a cryptocurrency ICO. I have thought about like doing like some kind of joke thing. I thought like if I did a coin, it'd be fun to like make an actual like token or something, like a physical token or something. I don't know if that's if it would work. I mean, I Googled that and it's a lot of work to make that happen. You know, if I did something like that, it would just be a joke thing. But I gotta focus on making actual money. I've never seen you laugh. Are you an AI? I think I've laughed several times on stream. Feet pics? Nope. I don't do that. No, it's the wrong stream for that. How much does welfare pay? I'm not sure. I think it pays a lot in Canada. I think I might have actually made less working some years than welfare does. As a Marine, I refuse to work the shit burning pits. Is that a thing? That is wild. Probably only $1,000 a month or so. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like the average rent, the market rent is like, for a 1-bedroom, it's $1,800, and for a 2-bedroom, it's it was in this building. It did at the peak of the real estate price, like after they first took it over, they jacked it up to $2,400 a month for a 2-bedroom here. So if like I guess I don't know how welfare actually works here. I think it's called ODSP or something. But I would assume they're mostly paying market rates. And for like a one bedroom, if it's $1,800 a month, then fortunately I'm still under the rent control, which is the whole reason I'm in this rent eviction situation. Robert, can I ask you a question? Oh, I missed that. Sure, I guess. That's what we had to do for undeployment. I figured we needed to do that for the community when you take over. Huh, that doesn't seem very state of the art. I would hope they would have a better way of dealing with that problem. But the same year in BC, yeah, rents are coming down a bit. But I mean, they keep talking like rental prices are crashing and stuff, but they're still up a lot. Like it's still way above. You know, it's down like 15% or something on average over the past couple of years, which is, yeah, it's still like you know, now it's only like 70% more than a rent controlled apartment. Mother pays $2,300 for one bedroom in Vancouver. Yeah, I believe it. It's exactly how it is. I'm an automation guy, so we can solve that issue. Excellent. I'm happy. I live in the middle of nowhere. America. To be honest, it's absurdly cheap near me. Yeah, that just seems to be like where the growth is. It's like outside of cities. I mean, there's of course you're far from like Google and all the white collar employment and stuff, but that sector seems to be taking a nosedive. So I don't know, the like house prices are so absurdly high. Like if you work minimum wage in a city, it'll take you literally like, you know, 10,000 years to afford a house. But if you just think about how many man hours does it take to build a house by yourself? Like one human being, it would take you a long time, be a lot of work, but one human being can physically build one house in their lifetime. So what if that was the solution to the housing crisis? I bought a house in 2008. It seemed like a big mistake at the time. Should have bought two. Yeah, you're right. You'd be a billionaire. We need to return to building castles across multiple generations. Give me a house that took 300 years to build. Yeah, castles are awesome. Have you guys ever seen that? There's a famous castle. It's built on like some like kind of it's like an island thing, but it's like in this tidal area where I think it's in Scotland or something, but it's a very picturesque kind of famous little castle villa type thing. It's a very popular tourist destination. France. Okay. What you generally think about life? That question is too vague. Check out the Seed Eco Home by Open Sourcing Ecology. Open design builds fast with a small crew. Yeah, like why why can't we just have like mass mobilization of people to just build their own houses? Like people would be so much more productive if they could just like live somewhere. And then we could all go in our houses and we could write code. Problem is the property though. Even an empty lot. Here's 2 million. But if you go like way in the middle of nowhere, what's the main takeaway? I know it's out of topic, but it was curious about it. The main takeaway of life? I don't know. That's once again, that's a very vague question. 1,300 square feet, starting from foundation with a swarm build crew of 24 people. It's only 5 days. Yeah, like think about the insanity of our society. Like these people that go, you go live in the city, and you work somewhere, and you work your entire life, 35 years or something, to pay for a house in the city. And if you just like find 24 people to help you out, then you can get a house in 5 days. And then for the rest of your life, it's paid off and you can live in it. If you have an online job, yes, middle of nowhere, nothing beats stick frame houses. Best advice is to marry rich. Yeah, I think that's pretty good advice. But the problem is like, how do you, if you're working all the time, how do you find that? How do you land that perfect rich spouse? Seed Eco Home is stick frame due to regulations. But if you want to retrofit with SEP, it's possible. Yeah, I guess we'll see how the future evolves, but I think there's going to be a lot more like people just moving out of the country, getting a small lot and building or buying any small thing. I think the housing market, I have been watching some videos seeing that they're like, at least according to some retailers, the housing market is in the process of crashing now. But if you look at the actual numbers, it's like, there's a few that are like, they're down year over year by like 5% or something, that's not really a crash. Do you consider going back to Nova Scotia? Isn't that where your parents are? Yeah, I could. It is an option to leave here. It depends. I'm going to stay here while I can. But I mean, like the ideal thing would be to have a presence in both places. And as long as I could keep cheap rent, then it's a possibility. But I mean, the ideal thing would be just make a lot more money, and then I'd have way more options. Fully remote SWE in Egypt. Checking in. Are you actually in Egypt? Probably a nice life out there. Never been though. There's pros and cons. There's stuff I like a lot about being in the city, and there's stuff I like a lot about being in the middle of nowhere. The best thing would be to be really rich and have a presence in both. Have an apartment in the city, and I wouldn't actually mind. The best would be like spend summers in the country and then cities in the winter. Downsides, mostly car culture. You mean in the country or in Egypt? Money doesn't solve it. I make $250K, still scrape by here. They just tax you to death. Maybe different if you're own corporation instead of an employee. Yeah, I mean that was actually one of the big motivations of starting my own business. Is because I did the math. Like, what if I just quit my business and went back to being an employee, and then like if I just moved to downtown Toronto, get a software engineering job. The amount of like, first of all, if I move, immediately I'm paying $1,400 a month more for rent, and then because because housing costs so much, you have to make so much extra money to pay the rent that you're way up in like the highest possible tax bracket. So it's almost like every single person is in the rich person tax bracket. So your marginal tax rate is like almost half, and then of course you get expenses and. There are a lot of dumb regulations when you're trying to solve housing crisis. More people need to be aware and work to change these regulations. Yeah, that's a huge problem too. It's just like, and with I recently learned like for just like setting up like to get plumbing pipes that are up to code, like for just like a toilet pipe. Like years ago, you just buy like, some random standard pipe, but now they have all these like code compliant fittings and stuff, but they're like, because they're some special standard, they're like way more expensive because you have to buy that, you're forced to buy it. So it's like, $20-$30 for this little piece of plastic that conforms to code. You have to buy it. And so there's just a ton of these little things. Everything's becoming a grift. Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with the UVism, but I wasn't sure if. So I guess you are in some remote area, presumably. The guy named Diogenesis used to live in a wooden barrel. Interesting. Tax bill is 60K. I'm not a tycoon, just a normal guy. Yeah, I think I did the math. Like if I did do that proposed plan, maybe I could have made, and like instead of being just barely break even, I could maybe have like, if I got my income from like what it is now in my business from like the 30-ish K, and they got a job making 80K. Then I'd only end up like 20K more ahead than I am now. But of course, I basically have to give up the business, and there's no time for anything else. So that like, increasing my income 50K to get that extra 50K, I would only end up like another 20K ahead. It's very, very demotivating. Wait, that Diogenesis guy was onto something? I guess he sounds like quite a character. Being an employee has some guarantees like vacation and sick days. Yeah, getting like medical coverage and stuff, and I mean, there's pros and cons. My experiences in 9 to 5 were at like Amazon and Nvidia. That colored my experience of the 9 to 5 life, and I decided I'm not gonna That's not for me. If you get to leave at 5, depends where you work. When I was at Amazon, I saw the on-call rotation. That didn't seem fun. Edge of a small town, 1K people. $600 rent. Don't live poorly here. Nice. That's yeah, wow, $600 rent. That's I remember I paid it was over 10 years ago in Toronto. I paid $400 a month. This was 2011. And I paid $400 a month for one bedroom in a house, in like a suburban house with 8 other people, with I guess 7 other people. Mohammed Ait Howie says hi. How's it going? I can rent a 2-3 bedroom house for $700 to $1,200. Maybe do both. Work a day job, have your own biz. That's I would say like for the stuff I've done, that would be 100% impossible. You need to have like for the consulting stuff, you need the ability to like take a meeting at arbitrary times. So if you're like trying to find clients are not going to wait for for you to get off work and then come at like 8 p.m. or something. And if you have to go like meet someone at a place, there's just you have no availability if you're actually at your job. And I find with the type of stuff that the contracts I had, like the whole point was to you would charge people a high rate for like they would have they would get some premium service for it. So like for example, some startups I was working with, they were trying to get some web software running, and so my schedule would be I'd give them like a couple of days a week of my time, or work like try to get in a certain number of hours per week. But what would happen is there would be like throughout the week there would be emergencies, so I kind of have like other stuff that longer term stuff, maybe at some point I had a couple contracts I was working on. So I was working on maybe the second contract, and then I'd get an email that like the web service is down, or we have like some emergency situation and they need my help like immediately. And then I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is going to take some time. And then I have to like get off of what I'm doing and put 100% focus into like solving this, critical issue with the ongoing thing. Or it might be emergency work, or it could just be like time critical feedback. Like the CEO of the startup messages you, like you're working with other people who are really busy, so the CEO needs some of your feedback, or they need you to review something or write an email, and they need it. Like, I mean, technically you could just say, I don't know if I can't do this right now, I'm busy with other stuff. But the thing is, if you're never available, then they're not if you're always blowing them off because you're saying you're at work, then they're not going to be super happy about paying you for and not having access to you. When you charge extra for emergency off hours work? No, I mean, I was I would just work. It was not a 9 to 5 thing, so for each contract it was a bit different, but I would mostly just they would send me work, and then I just try to finish it within we for one of them we'd have I think it was like 15 hours per week or something, 15 billable hours per week. And I would either like work on some like long-term background stuff, or they'd send me some files, and then I'd have to generate reports and stuff and tweak the code and whatnot. And but at the same time, I did kind of like, there were times when I would maybe work a bit over an hour or something. I would kind of underbill just because I wanted to like actually produce a result. Because if the client's not getting results, then they're not going to get happy if they're paying you premium amounts. Maybe there are a few too many pigs in the trough in your industry, sadly. I think in my opinion, the core of the issue, they can just fire people in India to do the same stuff. In my opinion, like a lot of the work I did, you absolutely would not be able to get someone in India to do it like that. That was maybe for like a lower fidelity thing, maybe you could, but there was a lot of value at like having someone who, spoke perfect English, someone who who's in the jurisdiction as you. Because some of the stuff I dealt with was like sensitive, and there's like I had to sign a confidentiality agreement, and if you sign that with someone in a foreign country, the question is like, what's the jurisdiction and stuff? But if I'm physically in the same province as them, that makes it not as bad. I actually think there was just there's a lack of demand for like a good quality work. Like there's just so many. It's hard to compare it to something like plumbing. Like if you say, I do plumbing, I can do, contract plumbing work. And a random person comes to you and says, hey, I've some plumbing I need you to do. Most likely, it's possible to be successful at that. There's probably a real project. Like you can physically put the pipes together. You can fix a leak. Like success is possible. But with software development, if someone comes to you and says, hey, I need you to build this piece of software for me, the probability that whatever is in their head is not going to work, or it's financially not viable, or it's like a crazy idea, the probability is extremely high. And in my view, that was one of the core problems, is there was just, it's not that everything is impossible. There's just too much like propaganda about like startup culture and stuff, and everyone thought like there was that phrase like there's an app for that, and everyone thought like, oh, that's how I get rich. I just make an app. I come up, it's all about the idea. If once you get the idea for the app, you pay someone $2 to make the app, and then you just get rich. But that's not how it works at all. And so there's a substantial misunderstanding of business, of marketing and stuff. So most of the projects, most of the potential leads are not going to result in a financially successful thing. Whereas if you fix like the toilet in someone's house, it's also a lower dollar amount, and the ability to judge success is just way more easy. I'm scared to go into software engineering. It just seems like a rat race. Yeah, it kind of is, although a lot of stuff is that way. Same, but I'm studying CS so I can get into quant. But IDK, how that will play out. Quantitative analysis, I think that's, from what I understand, that's quite competitive. But I think it can be lucrative if you get into it and are successful. I mean, the trades, the work is miserable, but I never have been out of a job. Plumbers and HVAC make a killing here. Yeah, I've heard anecdotally from someone who did accounting. I watched a podcast where this guy was an accountant, and I think he said he's never seen an example of a plumber who was doing poorly. But I mean, one problem though is like these days everyone is saying like, oh, software engineers, they're all, greedy, and their tech has had its day, so the thing to do now is to become a plumber, go into the trades. But I really wonder, like, if everyone follows that advice, we're just going to have an oversupply of people in the trades in a few years. And then everyone's going to be like, you guys are idiots. Why didn't you stick with it? Stop chasing the latest fad. Yeah, it kind of seems like for young people, no matter what people do, people will always find a way to, like, blame circumstances on the person rather than the environment that they're in. What's the blank is to plumbing as zig is to zagging. You're supposed to zig when everyone else zags. Should I become an electrician? I think I understand why neural net bonds away from service box bad. I'm not sure I totally understand that comment, but CS2, I think quant is less saturated, but they ask a lot more from you. Master's, PhD. Essentially, if you go to MIT, it's a lot easier to get into Chain Street or firms like that. Yeah, that was actually that was originally what I wanted to do. Before, when I first came to university, and then I actually worked at a forex market making company for a bit, and I kind of saw how the sausage was made. And my original goal was to, like, try and make it on my own as a retail trader, and, like, learn algorithms and stuff and trade the stock market automatically. But I realized I think it's just too competitive for a small scale retail investor. Not everyone can or wants to do trades, though. It's not something you can take a Google certificate for. Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. You have to have good work ethic, and I think there's I can think of a lot of reasons why people wouldn't be able to do it. But if the thing is, if the media tells all young people to go into the trades, we may have a glut of, because, like, if we do have a large number of jobs in the economy get automated, like knowledge work, if trades becomes the new lucrative thing, then and the other wild card is immigration. Immigration has dramatically impacted wages, and there's no strong guarantees we have about stuff. Like, you could go into a trade and invest your life into it, and then if we bring in a massive amount of immigration that you're competing with, then the bottom of the industry can go out from under you. False ground can be created by shorting the neural connection to the ground if you don't have an actual ground connection. It's a huge piece of why old homes are electrically cursed. Okay. 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 Yeah. That makes sense. I know enough about electrical to be. I know enough about electrical engineering to be dangerous. But yeah, I guess so. Neutral is the return path. So I guess that means they're using the. I guess to save wire. They'd probably do that. We need more guys in hardwood flooring and tile. I think it'd be cool if we had more people building. If we had more stonemasons. If we had more, like, cool old stone buildings like we had, like, hundreds of years ago. Isn't everything too competitive at this point? It feels like the only way possible to be successful is to be extraordinary or excellent in something. Yeah, I don't know. It's being successful is hard. Even immigrants need their plumbing and cars repaired though? It's true, but there's also the fact that when they first come here, like before they can even afford any of that stuff, they have to work under like an H-1B, and a lot of those programs are fairly predatory. They're like, people end up working in precarious positions, so they accept lower salaries and worse working conditions than they would otherwise, because they know they'll get deported if they or they'll they lose their visa if they don't obey. The fact that guys aren't going into the trades has been to my benefit until I want to hire help. Shortening neutral to ground is called false ground. I would think it'd be false neutral. Point is, immigrants come in and do the plumbing and car repair cheaper. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of them are not even like able to benefit from it. Like they may come in and end up working for a shady company that, pays them peanuts and then bills them out at some extremely high rate. Must be ground wire in individual outlets being connected to neutral. It's called false ground because your goal is gaining a ground connection for 3 pins. Yeah, that's I know enough about electrical engineering to know that could be dangerous. Personally, I think learn to want to consume less, then you can focus on doing real work instead of fake jobs that don't improve life for everyone. They just exist to create more consumption. Yeah, maybe, but there's at least a bare minimum. We still need to figure out how to get people to survive in the bare minimum. And it all comes back to housing. You can create a voltage between neutral and ground elsewhere in the circuits. Yeah, I guess depends how it's it depends what that ends up getting connected to in the house and what the resistance characteristics are of the house itself. In Canada, you still need Red Seal and apprentice. You can't just call yourself a plumber. Yeah, I'm not sure what the I talked to some people who came to repair stuff in my apartment a few years ago, and they said that they worked under a company, and they absolutely hated the company that they worked for, and we were talking about like careers and stuff for a bit, and they said that it's hard for them in the city anyway to actually get the work themselves. Like they can't get the work directly with the customer. They have to do it through some intermediary. I don't know. I didn't verify what he said, but this is just what he told me. You have to all the work is obtained through intermediaries, and they there's only a small number of these companies that you can go to work for, and they basically collaborate to keep wages low artificially. There's no incentive to create more housing when you have rent control. Yeah, I mean, I think rent control is not a sustainable policy. I think I'm an example of that. I do think they should have rent, the percentage increase on rent control. It should just be a higher percent. That the increase, So rent control would work if it was just based on like if it was a moving average of inflation. But the problem is the rent control rate is a 2% increase, but inflation is a lot more like 10%. And I mean, honestly, if they did a 10% increase every year, that wouldn't be that disruptive if it only went up 10% a year. But the fact that in the middle of like the worst housing crisis, like I'm paying, at the time I think I was paying $1,010 for my rent. And at the time they were first started trying to rent evict everyone, that was when the market rate for my place was $2,400. So in the middle of like, exactly when rent control is supposed to work the most, it works the least. Consumerism is part of it, but I think a bigger part is status quo of sending a third of our wages to drywall boxes just to exist. First, focus on meeting housing needs, bare minimum needs for people. Can be via software engineering, trades, or design. I thought the liberals were supposed to fix all this. Yep, every government is supposed to fix it all. They just keep repeating the same line over and over again. They're like, we'll fix housing. And then they don't. All right, let's see what I was going to do. What is all that green code anyways? This is the code for my terminal-based video game. It's a project I've been working on for a while now. And actually, I guess if you want to see, I just released a video a couple hours ago, a long-form video on my channel, which explains the current state of development. Radman, I'll just leave that comment as it is. There's more than enough discussion on that everywhere on the internet. Nice. Thanks to James Goodrich for the $10. The next thing should be to make a 3D in the terminal. Make it a 3D in the terminal. I was thinking I could do that with Sixels. There's if you look up Sixels, I could make like a 3D rendering pipeline. It would not work in all terminals though. You'd need a terminal that has Sixel support. But I think there is actually demand to get Sixels working in more terminals. But I don't know. Maybe it's doable. All right, we're up to 26 Canadian. Wasn't that one of the advent of code languages? Wasn't that Doom, you mean? Or my scar is done. Have a good evening. Have a good night. I know a YouTube channel that made Doom in Terminal using C++. I guess my guess is it probably would have used Sixel graphics. I think a guy got Doom running using only TypeScript types. Wow, that's impressive. Would you do software engineering if you had a choice to go back? That's a good question. People ask me variations of that question, and it's always really hard to answer because, like for these types of hypothetical questions, there's always, I would divide it into like errors of strategy and errors of prediction. So broadly speaking, I think my strategy of going into this field was correct. There were just some specific decisions that I made that made me have like a way worse financially outcome. But most of those decisions are almost like random decisions. So like if I maximized my standing, it would have been leave Canada when I had the chance to. It would have been like drop out of school halfway through my drop out of university in the second year at NVIDIA and just work at NVIDIA, dump everything into stock options, max out my stock options. Like, and even if I had like bought more stock options, which is probably possible, I probably could have had like 20 to $100 million if I pursued that strategy. If I just took the base stock options and didn't sell them, which I probably would have, then I would have only had maybe like, I don't know, single digit or maybe 10 million net worth. And of course, if I had bought a house down in California, I would have massively had appreciation from the house price. But I did not foresee how much like asset prices would inflate. And also I had no idea back then when I worked in NVIDIA, it was not a popular place to work at. It was like, well, the acronym was FANG, Facebook, Amazon, is FAN, is the N in FANG NVIDIA? Okay, I guess maybe they're part of the acronym, but FANG. Is that what it stands for in FANG? 2011. Oh, Netflix. Okay, yeah. Yeah. FANG. That was where everyone wanted to work. Facebook, Amazon, and whatever. And so like, NVIDIA was not even on the radar there. But of course now you could argue it's an old acronym, but I don't know. I mean, it was the right field. Like especially when I graduated into one of the best possible job markets. But then of course, immigration has also continued to be absolutely insane, and I did not, just that this wasn't on my radar. Like that hasn't happened that much for the last 100 years or so, but I guess it's very lucrative. So that's also meant increased competition for these roles. I'll never forget my when I was at NVIDIA, one of the things we had to do was go to the Social Security office and like get a Social Security number, or I forget if it's Social Security or social insurance or whatever the US one was. We had to go there and like there's buses like absolutely full of interns and international students, and it was like and they actually turned us away at one point randomly, and then we're like, oh, okay, we'll just come back later. And we had like multiple buses of people of students, and this is all like orchestrated, and it's just part of the process of bringing hundreds and hundreds of people in to start their new careers here in the U.S. Post-pandemic showed how everyone how working in any of these companies is not that nice. Yeah, I mean, for a while, it seemed it was pretty lucrative there for a while when you could get like 5 jobs at a time. This is one of those delicate changes that will break everything if it's not done correctly. Both Meta and Alphabet Inc. are incredibly controlling and inefficient. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. They're kind of weird companies. There's I kind of think they select for something other than talent for when they are hiring. I sincerely hate overemployed people. Learn a skill that isn't sandbagging. Climb the ladder. Yeah, I mean, if people are like, just if they're like honestly employed, but if you're like lying and pretending to work full time at multiple places at once, it's not cool. I'm sure that's a criminal act. It can be difficult to climb a ladder if you don't want to get into managerial positions. I also think it's not even as simple as like just climbing a ladder. Like if you walk up to a ladder, you just climb the ladder. It's straightforward. But if you work at one of these companies, there's so many other factors that have nothing to do with your job performance that you have to think about and like you have to be socially aware of. Otherwise, you'll end up like, working on some project, dead-end project for 3 years, hoping to get a promotion, and then you just get moved around, and then someone else get promoted faster than you. And I think an underappreciated thing is when the headcount, when the economy is growing and the headcount of a company is growing, like from 2009 to like 2019. If you worked at Facebook, it would be easy to climb up the ranks. Like for example, when I was at Amazon, I was actually in a room. I was in the intern room. That was it was being set up for just like all the interns. And during the term I was there, I was the only intern that term. So I was in this massive room with all these tables, and I was the only person in there. And the plan was next term, they had like 6 interns coming in. And I'm sure what would happen is naturally, like if I, stayed at a place like that, and if I was on that same team and kept working with them, I would just, having been the previous intern, I would naturally be the person that people would ask questions to. So even, I would not be their manager in name, but if I just end up like managing them and helping them and stuff like that, it would be very easy for them to just, because like they have to be strategic and, coming up to your 1 year deadline when your options vest and stuff like that, they have to figure out like some way to keep you. So if I'm already de facto managing, some of the interns or something, they can just be like, oh, you're promoted to this other role, and then they change your title or something, and then technically on paper you're a manager, or you have some like project manager role or something like that. But the thing is, if the headcount of the company is not just increasing underneath of you, then it's going to be really hard. It's going to be way more hard and competitive. Like if the pyramid is growing, it's almost impossible to not go up in the hierarchy. But if the pyramid is not growing, then it's going to be nearly impossible to get up. And I think that's an underappreciated thing. Senior staff, principal, lots of better options than lying. To be fair, they get so many applications, they have no choice but to reject applications for the randomest of reasons. One of Google's interview questions was that if you are to shrink 3-inch and put in a blender, how will you escape before the blender starts? That's random. If the SLA is not 100%, that's very wishful, hopeful thinking. Okay, that might do what I want. Let's run it. I work in cloud infrastructure. Nothing is 100%. But it's close to 100%. That's pretty serious if you're in a blender. Oh, you can jump higher if you're shrunk? Interesting. Which came first, the interview question or the Veritasium video? This is broken. Interesting. Oh, so the Veritas video is on the interview question. Do all insects jump higher, or is it just some? That's very esoteric knowledge, though. It's a very random thing. It's a very random thing to be expected to know. Very questionable if it's actually helps them. Like, what if that's the one question that filters out all the good people? Stop watching Veritas videos since their math as a whole, where they discuss Cantor's diagonal argument and come to some incorrect solution everyone else, the same incorrect solution everyone else has. Interesting. Maybe we'll have to go watch that video just so I can see what that mistake is. Interesting. Is that video still up? Still up? The mistake is not ensuring uniqueness in the values. They just assume each entry is infinite. I'm not familiar with the problem, but yeah, making videos is a lot of work. That's why for a lot of topics, there's misinformation floating around out there because I think there's a lot of subject areas where a qualified person would not make a video on the subject just because they're so busy being qualified at what they do. I feel like it's very hard to make anything interested on math topic. Yeah, it's for very pure. You can do it. It just requires way more work. It's not quite math videos, but like my command line videos, like the favorite command shorts. Not to toot my own horn, but I think a few of those are actually pretty interesting and catchy. Nice distilled presentations of the command, but the amount of script writing and just sitting down, thinking, learning the information first of all, and then thinking about how to present it in a clever, interesting or memorable way, and then scripting it and speaking the lines, and it's not hard. It just takes an enormous amount of time, and then the amount of money when you get like a bunch of those shorts. I spent more than a day on them, and to date they have less than $3 in revenue from all time. If I was better with animations, I might go on though. Voiceover would be garbage. Yeah, a few people mentioned people every once in a while mention making videos and stuff. I encourage people to do it, but very few people will put a lot of time into it. You have to really like making content and making videos, just because it takes so much time. I guess the problems with arguing about infinities, I don't know. I don't have any opinion on the subject. All right. So this is also not doing what it's supposed to. You know what it might be? Be my first video. I obsess over getting everything right instead of getting it published. Yeah, the other thing is like if you wanted to get like if you wanted to seriously try to get lots of views, unless the video is like unfathomably good, like if you look at the like the Veritasium's video style, or like Vsauce, or like if it's one of those very kind of like Physics Girl, or those kinds of styles of videos, it probably won't get many views if you just have one video, because one of the big things is it takes time for the YouTube algorithm to like. There's like multiple effects. It has to the YouTube algorithm has to figure out what's the channel about, what content does it produce, like what is its reputation? Is it spam? And I think that takes a few more videos. So you have to publish quite a few videos before the YouTube algorithm like even considers you for the recommendation system. I think you can get lucky if it's your first video and it's really good. I think usually even if you make a good video, they'll hold it back until you have a few more videos, because it's kind of a waste if a whole bunch of people discover one video and they're like, oh wow, this is a really good video, and then they check the channel and they're like, oh, there's nothing here. Like, why subscribe? Because there's no content. 3 Blue, 1 Brown makes very interesting videos. Yeah, he's epic. Yeah, his like he open sourced his like platform, or like the visualization tool that he was using for that. All right, it looks like I'm going to have to There's only one kind of infinity. It's not a value, it's a function. The diagonal argument shows there are multiple kinds of infinites. I can explain. Yeah, I guess that's what the Discord is for. I don't know, based on my reading, I don't know. I have no idea. This is the first time I've heard that infinity can be a function. But then I guess, like, honestly, these things are all these things require, like, you need to invent, what do you call it, like a math, it needs to exist within some kind of mathematical structure. Like this, the set of integers, that's a set of numbers. But then, like, what is it? What is epsilon? Or like, if you take the set of real numbers and then you take the value of 1 plus epsilon, is that a real number? I guess it probably is. Math degree is required? Yeah, I would think so. I thought it was -1/12. That's a pretty good guess. So I was hoping that I could encapsulate all this busyness inside of these functions, but I don't think I will be able to do that right now anyway. This will probably work. All right, this looks like it works. So we're gotta figure out a better mechanism for that merge down function. Interesting. That's not expected at all. Any thoughts on the relationship between skilled technical people like yourself in the defense contractor industry? I liked your missile video, by the way. Defense contractor industry. I mean, there's multiple ways that question could be answered. There's the whether it's like financially viable. There's like the ethical questions. I don't really know about for in terms of whether it's a good thing to go into. I think it's from my perspective, my understanding is that it's basically just like any kind of government procurement, and in order to be financially successful in that, you need to have like connections. You need to have some kind of an in or to the industry. Like a lot of that stuff, I think, goes to like the government puts up, requests for proposals, and then there are people who like actually vet those processes, and those people know how to get the proposals approved because they approve them or something. But yeah, I assume the process, it would be similar to other kinds of government procurement processes. Hi, from Kyle and Bodie. Glad you're still at it. Looking forward to the 100th episode special. Oh yeah, I guess I will be there soon. So I kind of have to go to 100. Okay. So if you got into mine, successful, you had to delete the Z. There's a link to the Obsessive Skill Set Club in there, and that's like the unofficial Discord where you guys can chat and say whatever you want and ban whoever you want and whatever kind of crazy stuff. As long as nothing illegal goes on there, then I'm okay with it. Fibefinity says E. It's kind of funny how, like, if you talk about the news, it gets censored. But if you spam the letter E, it's a meme? Oh, okay. What meme is it? Hi, man. How's it going? Like from a YouTuber, Beluga. And I don't know who that is. Not familiar with this at all. Meme from 2018. It's an old meme and I don't even know it. Let's see if that bug is deterministic or not. So close frame, open frame, open inventory. So it is deterministic. Right, 35 subs. Congratulations. Well, I didn't get too far tonight, but I made a bit of progress. Did a bit more consolidation to move everything into the screen layer class. And then if the roadmap here is going to be, so the overall thing I'm doing, I want to get rid of all these, like this mess of screen layers, screen masks, and like change regions and stuff. And the overall approach is going to be to kind of keep the program working, slowly consolidate these classes together. And then stuff like this merge function. This merge function will be a member function of this will be a method of the screen layer class. And then so all this, keeping track of all this garbage, it's not going to be the change regions and stuff. It's not going to be all kept track of manually outside with other data structures. It'll be within the class. So that way, as I whenever I do any kind of operation, it automatically puts a flag and stuff, and that'll reduce a lot of bugs and keep it efficient. I'm here. Let's start the party. I was just about to shut her down for the night. How do you approach debugging? Do you use the debugger or logging? It depends. I mean, I could probably talk for an hour on that subject, but I would say a debugger works when I if I have no idea why the bug's happening and there's a lot of state to look at. It's really helpful to breakpoint and just like go in and poke around, and like a lot of times you can just like sometimes you can immediately identify what the bug is just from looking at the local variables. But sometimes, like the ultimate debug is a printf statement, but it's tedious to write those and to grep through them and stuff. And they're also like based on historical execution. So with the debugger, you can look at what's happening and say, okay, I want to go into this function or that function, and Yeah, I guess it depends what the nature of the symptom is. And sometimes it's about debugging is about like trying to figure out what the symptom even is. Sometimes it's hard to articulate what it is. What are you making? I am making a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. Actually, if you check out my most recent long-form video on my channel, I just published 2 hours ago, that'll go into detail. Hi, do you wash clothes here? Gross, wash it. Thanks, I will heed your advice. I found the mathematics channel. Which one do you mean? Like you found a YouTube channel for mathematics, or that this is the mathematics channel? I guess we talk about mathematics sometimes. The math channel is the OSC Discord server. That's good. Yeah, fill the Discord up with lots of techie and mathematical discussions and stuff. I like the existence of it, and I want to continue to link to it as long as I see good stuff there. But at the same time, there's it's just it's random people from the internet. So sometimes there's kind of like weird people who stop by the channel, and I don't want I would prefer if the Discord doesn't go down like a really weird rabbit hole and attract a bunch of really weird people. But as long as they're math people, then they can be as weird as they want, as long as they only talk about mathematics. I think some degree of higher level math education is a pillar of most technical careers. Yeah, I mean, I certainly did a lot of math, lots of calculus and Fourier transforms, and I definitely had my share of that stuff. But anyway, I think I'll probably leave it there for tonight. I made a little bit of progress. Tomorrow I will continue collapsing these functions and consolidating this, and then once I have these all kind of consolidated, then I can start to optimize them, simplify them. I also want to kind of fix some bugs and fix them as unit tests, because it's the whole part of this whole arc is there's still a few other bugs on certain terminals where it doesn't render properly. But anyway, talk to you later, guys. Thanks.